Welcome back everyone, my name is SK. In the previous video, we talked about different poses in a run or walk cycle. To recap, the poses are the contact, down, passing, up. To identify the contact pose, we need to look at the leg where it first touches the ground. And for the down and up pose, we have to track the hip where it is at the lowest and the highest point. Let's go back to this reference and let's try to identify where is the up pose. Okay, you look at the hip itself over here. You look at the hip, make sure it's at the highest point, then that should be your up pose. This is your contact pose. Then you will go down, look at the hip. Sometimes it's very subtle. You cannot really tell whether it's the lowest point. Just estimate yourself. After the contact pose, maybe around here, it will be your lowest point. It is around here, very subtle. So that will be your lowest point. Your first contact point is this. Then let's identify this down pose. Should be around here. That is at your lowest point. This is your down. So after you have keyed up and down, then you will do the passing pose. So for the passing pose will be the in between of down and up. Should be somewhere around here. Sometimes the up, we might want to do it when the leg is straight. Look at the reference. Okay, usually we will straighten our leg to show that it is pushing upward. Okay, so that will be a up point. It doesn't happen all the time. Mostly we will try to look for a straightened leg. Example this. You can see that the leg is bent, now it's straightened up a bit. So this will be our up point instead. Continue to identify the poses for the rest of the reference. I will just fast forward at this point. And this will be the final result. Contact, down, passing, up, contact, down, passing, up, contact, down, passing, up, and finally the contact. So these are all the key poses that you should do first in your animation. If you can identify these key poses correctly, I can guarantee that your animation will look much better than before. So let's take a look at another type of reference. Sometimes you will want to do this kind of action, sword play, or gameplay animation. Okay, it's more interesting, right? Rather than run. Before I carry on, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. In return, I will show you a cute tiny dog. So how do we identify this type of poses? First is, of course, your first key pose is where the character is standing, still getting ready. Then we will look at how the leg lift up and down. We look at this leg, whether it's lifting up or it's landing the ground. So this is your contact, so-called a contact for this kind of action. Contact pose. So we look out for this contact pose first. You can see the leg is lifting up over here. Okay, right before it lift up, maybe you want to do one keyframe. And then once it land on the ground, here, land on the ground. Okay, we want to do another keyframe. Okay, then we look out for the hip extreme. Okay, the hip extreme. So what is an extreme in animation? There is an up pose and there is a down pose. Right, so up and down. Up is the highest point, right? So this is the highest point and this is the lowest point. So an extreme is where it is at the lowest point or at the highest point. These two are extreme. Okay, so whenever I say extreme pose, is either at the highest point or is at the lowest point. So this is where we identify where is the up, where is the down pose. Back to where identifying the hip, we'll look up for the lowest point is going high, then go down, 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 down. Then it start to go up over here, right? Okay, before it go up, maybe around here, then we'll do one down pose. This is your down pose. Okay, next we look up for maybe the leg. You see the leg over here. This leg is starting to lift up over here. Before it lift up, we'll do one pose, and then when it lift up, and then the leg will put down on the ground at this keyframe. Alright, so this is the place where it started to touch the ground. We do one keyframe. Okay, maybe do a few more pose. Okay, you can see the down pose of the hip. Down pose is landing down, and then right before it go up, okay, we will do one more key pose. This time we'll look at this leg instead. Okay, before it lift up. I know that this leg, there is a small action over here. It looks like it's lifting up and down, but let's treat this as a sliding foot. So let us just ignore this one first. Okay, we will concentrate on the other leg, the green color one, where it's starting to lift up at this pose. So we will do one keyframe over here, and then when it lift up, and this is the place where it step on the ground. Okay, the first contact point. Okay, so this will be your main key contact pose. Okay, so let us look what we have so far. First pose, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9. So this is all the poses that I will do first. So depend on your animation style, whether you want to do follow through or pose to pose. This one I will maybe do another video on it, follow through and pose to pose. I will do a quick one for the rest of it. Okay, so you can see there are a lot of main key over here. These are all the key poses. Okay, so let us look everything at one go together. Okay, you can actually tell the action, okay, what the character is doing. I've come to my end of this video. I would love to hear some comment from you guys, whether identifying key poses helps you in your animation. See you in my next video and happy animating.